Welcome to Gold Coast Insider, where we bring you business insights, stories, opportunities and forecasts from movers and shakers across the Gold Coast. I'm your host, Estella Rodiguero. I'm CEO of Regional Development Australia Gold Coast. My guest today is Rebecca Hyssett. She is an industry engagement manager with Construction Skills Queensland, and she focuses on the Gold Coast region. She has a background spanning various roles in education, from early childhood educator to business development for trades in major registered training organisations. Beck excels in helping businesses understand workforce capabilities and designing plans to maximise their team potential. And she takes pride in witnessing individuals of all ages discover their passion and evolve from new entrants to leaders in their respective fields. Thank you, Beck, and welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well. Thanks, Estella. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, you're most welcome. Well, how about we start with, can you tell me your journey from working as an early childhood educator to becoming the industry engagement manager with CSQ?
Sure.
Thank you.
Gosh, seems so long ago, Estella, working with the little ones. I always had a passion with working with children, and then once I had my own, I probably lost that passion a little bit and needed a change, and always loved developing people and working in education. So many years down the track, gaining years of experience from traveling overseas, and finally found my niche when I went into working for a large training organisation in the trade space and started to work with new entrants, and found that passion to grow and develop people into a trade. And I absolutely love what I do. Spent many years now at Construction Skills Queensland, building relationships and assisting new entrants at coming into the construction industry, which I absolutely love.
So how long have you been with Construction Skills Queensland, CSQ?
Coming up to 3.5 years now. So I worked closely with them in my previous role, and then an opportunity became available on the Gold Coast to sort of be that conduit, I guess, between industry and stakeholders and new entrants. And 3.5 years later, I absolutely love it.
That's excellent. So let's start with, who is Construction Skills Queensland?
So Construction Skills Queensland, industry know us as CSQ. Everyone just calls us CSQ. We're a non-for-profit organisation, and we're actually funded by the building and construction industry. So how that works is any road, building, anything that is being constructed over $150,000, we are paid a small levy of that. And that has actually equated to around $50 million every year that we are then expected to invest back into the building and construction industry. So it's quite a unique organisation, but we listen to industry, consult with industry and find out where their needs and challenges are, and then invest that money back into building and construction.
So some of the ways you reinvest the money into that construction is you do run programs as well for training, don't you?
That's right. We're not an RTO or a training organisation ourselves. We actually put out to tender to RTOs, and they apply for some funding. And the funding that we provide is for what as industry has told us that they need. So it might be we have a bucket of that money put aside for upskilling current workers in the building construction industry. Just say you're a bricklayer and you want to come off the tools and become a site supervisor, we might pay a certain amount of money towards you getting that certification. We also sort of fund looking at pathways and new entrants. We're starting to invest a lot more into that construction pathways because that's what industry is needing. And we also work with a lot of the non-for-profit organisation and community groups that are related to building and construction by providing them some money to spread the word about what's happening in construction and support the workforce that we currently have.
And I also I was invited to the breakfast recently, and one of the incredible things that you guys do is to give a really good overview of the industry, not just locally, but also within Queensland. And it gives us a really good ballpark of what their future investments are, where they're going. It's just brilliant. So that's the other role that you play, that CSQ play, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've got a data team of 5 where we are working on the data all the time, looking at the major projects. We are monitoring all the major projects across Queensland. We consult with those major contractors as well to look at workforce planning. And yeah, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes to get to where I am today, to come and have a chat to you about what is happening around the state and especially on the Gold Coast. So yeah, there's a lot that's going on. We're in a very busy time in construction at the moment.
And feeding on that, residing here on the Gold Coast, I can see a lot of cranes in the sky.
Yeah.
Right? So is this reflective of the level of construction that's happening here on the Gold Coast?
Absolutely. We are absolutely booming on the Gold Coast in many ways. We sort of generally break it down to residential, which is your home and apartments. Then you've got your commercial, which brings in your education, your hospitals, and industrial, and then finally infrastructure. So there's 3 different types of construction. Look, I can say that there's actually 61 cranes currently towering over the Gold Coast. So yes, you are right. And 22 of those have actually just gone up this year. So you can see that activity is just crazy. There's just this year alone, since January, there's been 1,600 apartments approved on the Gold Coast. And last year there was 7,000. So you can see the numbers there are just crazy on the Gold Coast. So yes, those cranes are definitely reflective of the activity. We're also really lucky. A lot of sort of major projects are happening on the Gold Coast here at the moment as well. We've got the Coomera Connector, huge investments that will really be active for the next 10 years, really, for that to be done. We're only working on the north and the central at the moment, but that's a lot of roadworks that are happening in the northern end. And we've got a beautiful, huge new estate that's gone in at Worongary. It's called SkyRidge, that will eventually house 10,000 homeowners. So super lucky. The other major project I'll point out is the Gold Coast Light Rail from Broadbeach to Burleigh. It's going to just change the way that we live on that eastern seaboard. And then finally the Coomera Hospital, which is land has been cleared there. That's like a $1.3 billion investment. So it's massive, the activity that's happening on the GC at the moment.
Yeah, there certainly is. Like, there's so much exciting things that are happening here. But on top of that, in the media, there's a lot of conversation about the skill shortages and specifically to the construction industry. So is this still the case, or is this the case happening at the moment?
Absolutely. We are competing for the same talent across all industries. All industries are crying out for new staff, and it's very hard to rob from Peter to pay to Paul. But we are looking at, we need at least 2.5 times the current workforce that we have in building and construction to actually complete the book of work that is planned. And that's not even when that activity has started. So yeah, 2.5 times of what we currently have in building and construction. It's crazy.
And that's not accounting for the future, the future development.
No. You know, we've got the shiny 2032 Olympics less than 10 years ago. So that hasn't even counted for all of those projects that are going to be for there. So yes, it's a critical stage for the workforce.
So are people moving around within that workforce? I mean, are they going to move to Brisbane to take up roles? Are they transient, or do we get construction workers that are stabilised here on the Gold Coast?
No, like it depends on where the major projects are happening. Like you look at Queen's Wharf up in Brisbane, a lot of our construction workers, the money was too big, so they would travel up to there. But then now we've got the Star being built down here. So the workforce does move to where the projects are, but there's still not enough new entrants coming in. We're not replacing those that are retiring. And we're crying out for people to look at gender diversity as well. We're looking to employers to bring in multicultural background, or to invest into women in construction, because we need extra people. So we need to start looking at different options.
So, okay, so is CSQ doing anything to assist with these skill shortages, or what specific initiatives do you have in place?
As I mentioned earlier, my role as industry engagement is to chat with industry and find out where their challenges are. daily conversation for me as I'm pounding the pavement is that we just can't find new entrants. So, of course, CSQ has had to really look at how we're investing our money and see other ways that we can attract new entrants into the building construction industry. So we've developed a whole construction pathways team. We've invested a lot of money into a new website, which has over 70 different trades on there that people can go and have a look at the different trades that are there. It sort of talks about the money that you can earn being in that trade. It talks about your educational pathway. And we're running a lot of programs within schools and pre-trade programs as well. So prime example was as actually this Thursday, we're taking 20 students from school down to a major project, the M1 upgrade, and we're going to do a try a skill where they can try different things within construction to see if it is an industry they'd like to go into. Another one is we've got some awesome little VR goggles that we take into year 9 and 10 students to plant that seed about construction. You know, we've got to start planting the seed early. They go home and have a chat about it, and then we can follow it up with a site tour to see if they gather interest. So, yes, Pathways has become a major part of CSQ's focus. And, it's just so inspiring. You take a young person on site and then they go home to mum and dad. Next minute, they're looking at getting into a pre-trade program at one of the local RTOs. So, yeah, very rewarding part of my role is working in that pathway space.
So, yeah, you can tell. You get very passionate about it.
Love it.
I own you to be incredibly.
I feel it's like changing lives, you know. You don't know what you don't know. And the other day when I was on a site tour, there was a surveyor that spoke to us about his role, and it just opened my eyes to see what different roles are there. So if I'm learning at my age what roles are in construction, if we can start inspiring that next generation, or even career changes, mums going back to work, there's so many options these days. So it's just actually informing them of what's out there.
And you are right. Like when we think of construction, we think of people on the hammers and tools, but there's also surveying. There's also, landscape.
Your estimator, your site
the-
supervisor, lots of off the tool or white collar jobs within the industry as well.
Has the industry changed much? I know that when we talk about manufacturing, there's been, the perception in schools of what manufacturing is, like dirty, grimy, the breathing in dust and things like that. Has construction changed in that field much?
Work health and safety wise, yes, there's lots of new regulations that have been brought in to make it a lot safer for people on site. A lot more women are coming into the workforce, and that is sort of changing the way that people act on site as well. We've been lucky, and we've seen basically the amount of women coming into construction has doubled in the past couple of years. So, yes, it's definitely changing workforce. I think the construction side of things will always remain old school, but when it comes to work health and safety, it's a lot safer on site for everybody. And they're protecting people working in industry, like with silica and things like that. There's now lots of things in place to keep people safe, most definitely.
And I was going to get to that gender diversity piece, and how there's been a conscious push or awareness campaign about women going into the construction industry, and you have seen an uptake of that. What's that looking like? Do you have any figures around that or percentages of? Yeah,
most definitely. We've seen there's in the overall workforce in construction, and that's from your white collar, your blue collar, we're sitting about 14% of the construction workforce are women. But if we break down that further to trades specific, like those that are on the tools, it's a lot less. We're only looking at 4% of the population in construction are women, but that has doubled in the past couple of years, as I mentioned. And what's great to see, we're seeing a lot of women come into like electrotechnology, painting we've got a lot of women into apprenticeships in painting and also plastering. They're the 3 trades that we're seeing a lot more uptake, and even quite a few plumbers coming through. So definitely a lot more interest in women coming into construction.
So you play a big role with supporting, students and people entering the workforce. Do you also play that role with employers and supporting employers, and maybe even is there an education piece for employers about employing women, I guess, or that gender diversity piece?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, my role is actually industry engagement. So on a daily basis, I am meeting with your small to medium businesses, your larger tier 2, tier 3, tier 1s, and talking to them about workforce capability, I guess, and breaking down for them how CSQ can support them by upskilling their current workforce. We really talk to them about growing your own as opposed to, bring someone in as a new entrant and develop them how you want to develop them. And then you'll keep longevity within your company. And it's like, passing the baton. We've seen a lot of success of businesses that are bringing in someone as a trainee potentially and then growing them into a site supervisor within their business. When it comes to women, we like to connect businesses to those support organisations that are out there for women, introducing them to places where they can get support, and also working alongside a lot of businesses that are running pre-employment programs and connect the dots so an employer can possibly take on a work experience person out of a women in construction program. So we're there to connect everybody.
Yeah. So you work within, and this is a layman's term to look at the world. You work within those three: residential, commercial, and the infrastructure, right? What challenges do you see? How has that evolved? So on the Gold Coast, has that industry evolved on the Gold Coast? And what role does the skills development play in that evolution? So if I was going to be trained in one aspect of building trade, can I just naturally go into all the other fields? Like, can I go into construction? Can I go into infrastructure? Can I go into, commercial industry?
Yes, most definitely. Not across all. Like you might be qualified in one section that will be specific to that section, but we've seen a lot of, say, carpenters. The other day when I did a site tour, they'd started as a carpenter and then decided that they wanted to get into the civil space. So they take those skills that they learn to then go into and bring that to the broader organisation. So a lot of transferable skills. And if there's a skills gap there, you can look at possibly just funding those few units or something that could actually transfer you into something other than what you're currently learning. So I think you get your foot in the door. I always say start with a trade because you're going to learn a lot of great skills and then your career can take you absolutely anywhere. The other day, the project manager on site had worked overseas. He'd worked all around Australia on these major projects and just his skills and knowledge was exceptional. Yet he started with a 4-year apprenticeship as a carpenter.
Wow. Yeah, there are. And I think that that's one of the things is that if you're a carpenter, it's just a stepping stone. Potentially it can just be a stepping stone. So, you can have a career projection and go further with it. But if we go back to the businesses, what challenges do you commonly encounter when you're helping businesses? And I guess workforce is just one facet, is it? Because we did hear, and I don't know that this comes into CSQ, but we did hear of shortages in product shortages. Is that still an issue? And freight charges were increasing the pricing on everything. Is this still something that is a challenge to businesses?
Look, that was quite unusual times with the pandemic and what happened with the escalation of growth of so much building happening. We didn't expect it. And yes, it was a major factor in price increase and supply, which then obviously put freight charges up. But that's settled back a lot better now. So we're almost back to pre-pandemic norm. Okay. Every business I speak to, they're not having the challenges with supply. Prices are up a little bit, but not compared to what it was a couple of years ago. So yes, businesses went through very, very tough times for a couple of years, but we're settling back to what we know is the normal.
Yeah. So it really is, the major thing is really about that skill shortages. That's still an overriding issue that businesses will have.
We always keep hearing there's no new entrants. There are no new entrants. So we did develop some pre-trade programs that we work closely with RTOs to deliver. It's we won't run these programs unless we have the employment opportunities and these participants go out to work experience. So we've been very lucky to have great businesses to come on board that take those participants on work experience, and then we're hoping to fill that gap for them. Still need a lot more people.
Yeah, because even if you start an apprenticeship, you're still just you're a few years behind the eight ball and getting them up to a speed that they really are developing a very productive workforce. Yeah. So what advice would you give someone who's considering a career in trades, but unsure where to start? Like seriously, there must be like I know there's a lot of trades out there. If it was me, I wouldn't know where to start. Where do I go?
Well, first of all, I would look at getting some work experience. Work experience is the key.
Yep.
You think, you think you want to be a plumber, and then you go on site and it's absolutely not what you were thinking that you were going to do. So you're like, okay, we can rule that out. You might know that you want to start in a trade, but then you think, oh, okay, I'm not going to be a plumber. There's 69 other careers to choose from. There's around 70 construction careers. It's probably having a chat, if you are at school, having a chat to your vet coordinator or industry liaison officer. If you're not at school and you're looking for a change of career, there's a lot of support agencies out there that are assisting with recruitment for construction. So it's reaching out to them, starting the conversation, looking at a pre-employment program at one of your local training organisations. If you're wanting to go into plumbing, you might look at a Cert 2 plumbing services, or if you want to try it, it could be a Cert 1 in construction. There's also a lot of funding out there for these pre-employment programs. So just giving it a go, making the decision, have a go at doing a pre-employment program, and then you can decide if you like it or not. And do you know what? If you don't like it, that's okay, because you can rule that out then and then move on to another industry. So we don't see that as a loss. We see that as a win, because it means that, yes, that mightn't be for you, but this other industry might be for you. So I'd say, first off, it'd be work experience. And secondly, would be looking at getting into a pre-employment program. Most of them will be funded, and do some structured work learning as a part of that.
So back in the day when I was younger,
Me too.
when we were going to do a pre-employment, we were going to do work experience. We literally had to find someone who would take us on an electrician. We had to find that electrician and then see if they would take us on board. Is that still the case now?
Look, personally, I think that's a great way to do it, because you're building initiative, that the employer can see that you are really keen to do it.
Yep.
Obviously, if you don't have that confidence and you are doing a pre-employment program, there should be support at that training organisation that you're studying through to have that conversation. Just pick up the phone, practice a couple of phone calls, because, we all get nervous when it's something out of our comfort zone. But if you really want something, you'll do it.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would say that it still is, in my opinion, doing it yourself, but there are people to support. Like, there's some wonderful non-for-profit agencies out there that will support you in a new career change, that will mentor you and have a chat with you about, is this the right career for you? So it's feel free to reach out and have a chat to me as well. That's my role, is that conduit for everybody.
And I will be putting your details underneath this for everyone who's listening. The other thing is, like, we keep talking about apprenticeship and traineeship. So what about career changes? What about people who are in the workforce now and thinking, you know what, I always wanted to be an electrician, or I always want to be a plumber. What about those people that are completely
still the same? You can go straight into a pre-apprenticeship program, or one of our fully subsidised programs, where you can come in we recently ran a civil one that was just a couple of weeks. It was a 6-week duration. One young man knew that he wanted to go into civil, and straight away within that 6 weeks, he was out working full-time with one of the local businesses here on the Gold Coast. So it just shows you, if you want to change, there are opportunities everywhere, and there's lots of support for you if you are looking at a new career.
And as a mature age person as well?
Absolutely. Yep.
So
we had quite a few mature age go through our program in Toowoomba recently. Just really wanted to do something different, and majority of those have now been employed into the civil industry. So there are opportunities for career changes, most definitely.
That is that's brilliant to hear. But looking ahead, what trends do you foresee in the construction industry, and how should businesses and workers prepare for those changes?
Construction's an interest. It is. I find it an interesting one, because I still feel that construction will continue to be hands-on. There'll be certain industries that technology might come in and replace. Like I went to a bricklaying business the other day, and they had these machines that are going to be carting the bricks to the place where they need to be. But I think construction will remain old school. Yes, your background, like your billing and things like that, might be more automated. But when it comes to building, we're still going to need that knowledge and skills and experience to continue to do the build. So I don't see a huge shift technology-wise for building and construction.
I suppose here on the Gold Coast, the biggest change would probably be what sort of buildings will be undertaken, whether they're
and materials
and the materials that are being utilised. And I guess we're all really conscious of the environment and sustainability. Has that impacted into the building industry at all?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. When we're looking at people tendering for different projects, that is a major factor that the government might look for, is their environmental focus, I guess. And that's definitely influencing some of the awarded projects that are coming through as well. And same with building a residential home, the star rating for energy and things like that. We're looking to the more NDIS space of making things suitable for people to live in their own home, and new builds that are happening might need to have wider doorways and stuff to cater for wheelchairs. So yes, we are definitely looking to environment and to sustainability.
And does CSQ help organise, companies, and particularly the smaller companies? Do you support those smaller companies in how they can do that and what they need to do?
Look, we do fund some small business training and things like that could assist with educating them in that space. Not hugely, but there are some certain of our short courses that could be suitable for people to educate them, but not a huge amount into that space. It's you've got some industry bodies out there like HIA and Master Builders that have a huge amount of support. And, if you don't know what you're looking for, it's reaching out to them and having those conversations. So they probably carry that space a little bit more than we do.
Yeah. So advice today is, if you're thinking of going into the construction industry, just do it. Doesn't matter where you're at. Doesn't matter if you're a mature person and you've always had a passion for hammering things. Just go back in. Just go and look into it, isn't it? Really?
Oh, it is. Asking the question, just having a chat with someone, figuring out, looking at a pre-apprenticeship program, just getting out there, doing some work experience and just giving it a go, because you might love it. We had one young girl that was adamant she wanted to go into the office, and that's all she wanted to do some estimating work. And then she started going on site, and now she's just working in the field because she just loved being outdoors. So, you don't know until you don't know what you don't know. So give it a go and see what you think.
Exactly. Now, you've lived here for 15 odd years, haven't you? And so I want to ask you personally, what is it about the Gold Coast that keeps you here, that keeps you passionate about the Gold Coast?
Well, I was brought up here. I was brought up at Ormo, actually, but then I went away and travelled the world because that's what you do.
That's what we do. We all do that, yes.
And you look for a better place, I think. And then you come home and you realise what we have on our doorstep. I mean, the beach that runs from Main Beach all the way down to Coolangatta, that just keeps me here. The lifestyle, I love it, that it's a transient place. You meet so many wonderful people. Not many people are born and bred on the Gold Coast. And, it's just a relaxed lifestyle to get outdoors. We've got beautiful weather. I think the pandemic taught a lot of people to appreciate the outdoors, and that's why we've got such an influx of population coming up here, because they're realising how beautiful it is.
Very true. Very true. Like it is. So thank you so much, Beck, for taking time.
Thank you for inviting me on today.
No, it's been really good to have a discussion and see what CSQ do, how they assist people, and what people can do. And as I said, I'll put some links underneath so they can get in contact with you. So thank you very much.
No worries, Estella. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks for listening today. For a complete list of podcast episodes and transcripts, go to rdagoldcoast.org.au/podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter.